Let's go to the Pakistani capital, Islamabad, and speak to Aisha Sarwari, who's a women's rights advocate. She's the co-founder of Women Advancement Hub. It's a platform for women in leadership. Aisha, thank you so much for your time. Ala, my colleague who called you to ask you if you would speak with us, says that you've seen the film twice. How big is its feminist message?
So it was considered to be banned in the province of Punjab because of its undertones towards things that were not culturally appropriate. So the second time I watched it was for that reason, because I'm in Islamabad, not in that province. But also, my teenage daughters had to see them. So I once went with a friend, then with them. So yeah, I have watched it twice, and as a feminist, it is precarious in terms of why I watched it twice.
What can women, and especially you say you've got teenage daughters, I've got two of them. The 17-year-old saw it on Sunday. The 19-year-old says she wants to watch it with me. So what can younger women and girls learn from the film about their place in society?
So the doll was actually created, like it or not, to kind of give the girls around the world an understanding of what is expected of them. Now, Barbie is controversial because it is the Eurocentric size zero doll, which women around the world look like that, especially young girls. So we have to be careful about what messaging we're giving them. But we also have to understand that this movie that has grossed $1 billion, and perhaps it's an entire franchise that has products that gross more than that, why is it resonating with society? Let's look at some of the facts. Barbie is a woman. She's a girl. She has something called a dollhouse, which makes her own property. Women around the world really don't own property that much, especially in our region. She's also not got a kitchen in that dollhouse of hers. She looks pretty. And the entire concept of leisure is a big deal in regions like ours because, our mom's generation, our grandmother's generation, we never saw them really sitting and enjoying something like TV or just doing something that they, liked for the sake of liking it. They really had a very service-oriented or a task-oriented, concept, which is not to be diminished. It's a very important part of what we call the social fabric of the family unit system. But I think that dolls allowed, and by the way, from centuries, girls have always had dolls. It's not just a Barbie invention. I think Barbie just, commercialized it. The idea that a girl can make her own universe through imagination is a good one. And especially if it doesn't have a kitchen, it gives them the idea that they don't always have to peel potatoes.
Aisha, you say Barbie's a girl. She's a 64-year-old girl, let's remember. And her full name is Barbara Millicent Roberts. Just finally, do you think that she is a feminist icon for everybody, or maybe just for white women in the global north? Africa Twitter, which is a thing, of course, is saying that she's not quite the feminist icon for us that she might be for others. And of course, you're talking to us from Pakistan.
It's very hard for little girls to be told what's right and what they should admire, which is why it's a very dangerous concept to give them a very white, Eurocentric doll, right? So, which is why it's controversial. And I think that the franchise should really look into what is problematic about, making girls look like something they're not. And kudos to Africa Twitter and now X to sort of protest. But I think the Barbie franchise is also giving us an opportunity of what society thinks we should be. Society, like it or not, brown girls like me are expected to look like Barbie. And America Ferrera in the movie Barbie came up with this really interesting monologue of the conflation and the conflict and the trauma of being a woman, because you expect it to be this but not too much, you expect it to be that but not too much, and in that entire balance you completely lose out the fact that women are humans. And yes, we should have an imagination and aspire to something like owning our own property or having a bank account or getting a man to get out of our house when we want him to. But the reality is that you just want women to look pretty. And so I think that it's an interesting debate to say that Barbie doesn't represent us. But the fact is that a lot of people around the world, especially men, want a pretty young, quiet girl.
Aisha, thank you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Really appreciate it. Aisha Sarwari in Islamabad.
Thank you.